I'm not going to, I'm going to hope for the best, but I'm not going to invest for that. Because for me right now, all of this, I'm just going to assume that this trend is in motion until it changes. And they're going to keep making mistakes, right? Politicians, we got this gigantic fire that they lit, and they only know one way to put it out, and that's pour gasoline on it. And the more gasoline they pour, the bigger the fire gets. All they can think of is, we need more gas. That's it. And I'm going to try to get to Washington and take those buckets of gasoline away and get them to understand it. But if they don't, we have got to invest like that. We have got to understand that assets in the United States are going to lose a lot of value relative to assets in other countries. Right? And this is going to happen because of a realignment of exchange rates. But think about it. If Americans are going to be poor, which we argue, right, your consumption is really a function of what you can produce. But we've been able to consume as a function of what everybody else has been able to produce. That comes to an end. So we're going to have to live within our means. And unfortunately, our means are a lot lower than they used to be. And until we really restructure, until we get a real stimulus, which means less government, right? Government is a depressant. Government saps the productivity of the real economy. We have to support government. That has to come out of our productivity. When you're a rich country, you can afford to have a lot of government. But when you're a poor country, you can't. And if you're a poor country that wants to be a rich country, the key to that is shrinking your government, making it as small as possible, so it doesn't interfere with private citizens creating wealth. And so if we don't do that, we're never going to be able to recover. But in the meantime, if we as Americans have our money outside the United States now, we can preserve it. And I think there are a lot of opportunities around the world. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. I can't promise people in this room that if they invest at Euro Pacific Capital, that we're not going to have to live through another year like 2008. I was surprised at the severity of the downturn in 2008. I hadn't really planned for it. I knew it was possible. I thought that weak foreign markets would have been shielded by the weakness of the dollar. Instead, the strength of the dollar exacerbated that. But I also, I'm a bit surprised by 2009. I mean, 2009 is, without a doubt, the best year ever for foreign stock investing. I mean, no other year even comes close. And so, I don't know, 2010 could be another 2009. I don't know, for sure. But I know that over the long term, over the next several years, over the next decade, I think that people are going to lose a fortune in the United States. Because the government is trying to make sure that nobody loses any money. And they might succeed. Nobody will lose any money. But all the money will lose its value. And so what good is having money that doesn't buy anything? There are plenty of millionaires. There are billionaires all over Zimbabwe. They can't buy a pack of chewing gum with those billions. Right? So if you want to preserve your wealth and enhance your wealth, you got to go abroad. We're investing at Euro Pacific Capital. You can talk with the brokers at the back. But I like stocks more than bonds, especially when you can buy them cheap and get a good dividend. There's inflation all around the world right now. All central banks are acting irresponsibly, so I'd rather own assets than paper. But there's a lot of value around the world. There are great dividends. If you want to invest here, there's no income. There's no dividends. You can't get interest on anything unless you take a tremendous amount of risk. There are a lot of companies around the world paying very high dividend yields, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% or more. We're investing all around the world in the resource economies, in European economies, especially Asia. I think that the real dynamism is going to be in Asia. I mean, we are actually living through a period of time right now where we are passing a baton, unfortunately, from American economic dominance to Asian dominance. Asia is doing everything right. We're doing everything wrong. I mean, they're doing what we used to do. They're saving their money and they're making stuff. And why are they doing that? Because the government, even though they're communists, they're smart enough to leave the entrepreneurs alone. There is more freedom in China than there is in America, economically. Yeah, they can't vote. Big deal. We can vote. Look who we vote for. And then look what they do. We get to vote for which guy's going to take half our money. I'd rather not vote and have the person not take half my money. Or more. I mean, taxes or inflation are going up. So that's where all the wealth is going to be created. So you got to have a lot of exposure to that country. I mean, the stocks that can go up 10 or 20-fold or more.